Come on in, guys. Come on in.
Welcome to your new normal.
Gosh.
Come on in.
Oh my gosh, look at this.
Oh my gosh.
Sometimes it's not about the space itself, but what you're willing to do with it. Because there are places all over the world that are either not what they could be, or have been left to rot and are thus not exactly the best places to go. However, if you're willing to put in a little effort and get things looking well again, or even improving on the former design, you can make something really cool. And you might be surprised by what the results were of people doing just that. Allow us to show you the coolest architectural transformations. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. 8. A public bathroom to a private home. You might think that all these transformations are simple or basic, but does going from a public bathroom and turning it into a private home really sound that basic to you? Because it wasn't. This came from the mind of Laura Clark, who lived in the UK. She found a rundown bathroom that was available in South London. The location here is key because this area isn't known for selling property on the cheap. So she took this place as a challenge and went to work. She spent about $20,000 on the property, and then spent another $80,000 renovating it and transforming it into the house of her dreams. Despite having only a limited amount of space in it, she was able to put in a living room, a bathroom, and a kitchen in the space. That might sound impossible, but that's exactly what she did, and she really did make it shine as well as make it her own. But wait, there's one more twist to talk about. Because after she was done and the renovations were appraised, her new home was valued at nearly $500,000. So for a $100K investment, she made a home worth 5 times that. A fact that she'll no doubt keep around if/when she wants to find a new place. Though given all the time she spent in making the place like new, perhaps she'll wait a little longer than you might think. 7. Adding levels and space. This is a story of Joel and Heidi Allen, who lived in British Columbia, and how they went and bought a rundown suburban ranch house. When you look at the home that they got, you'll see that it's oddly shaped and spaced. The floors had holes in it, and the sheds that the place had were filled with all sorts of garbage. Not the best place to go and live a life. Don't worry though, it worked out in the end. Because while we would see trouble, they saw potential. They decided to add another layer to the home via floor addition on the roof so they could go and make more use of the wonderful view that they had. Again, they were in Canada. They then added a side extension to give themselves even more space, which they no doubt enjoyed. They weren't done though, and they also toyed with the foundations and added some more extensions to give themselves some better entryways into the home. By the time they were done with their remodel, they had a home that looked nothing like the original, and they only spent $200,000 on it. Granted, that's a lot of work to be put into remodeling, but sometimes it's what you have to do to make use of what you have and what you can work with. 6. The Siri Project. Take a look at the commercial building. It's so run down and worn out that you likely would think you couldn't do anything with it. But you would be very wrong, because Iden Architects decided to get this building in Thailand, Bangkok, and make it something worth living in. The verticality of the building would have been a bit hard to work around if the team wasn't inspired by Tetris. No, really, they wanted to make this building work via turning it into Tetris stacks. They used the idea of having odd shapes, making a structure as inspiration to put windows and more to liven up and brighten up the space. They had to design and construct specially crafted rooms that would adhere to the shapes provided, and cut out so they would be able to make each room both work and look unique. The results make you feel like you're in something special. Plus, you have enough room for while you're also ensuring that you're not hurting or interfering with the room or rooms next to you. And if the title didn't give it all away, they called this the Siri Project. We feel that the Tetris building is catchier, but perhaps there was a copyright issue. Hard to say. 5. The Great British Glow Up. Heading back to the UK, in Kent, England, a small and very square home once lived. It's very square. That's pretty much all the good you can say about it, right? It was even described as the ugliest house on the street. Glad we're all in agreement on how bad it is. Despite all visual clues to the contrary, Joanne Lewis thought she could go and do something with it, and so she bought the property. After getting it and making some plans, she went to work. She decided to remove a key wall to give the house more space. She then added an extension on the back side of the house that would eventually become her kitchen. But then she felt she needed even more space, so she got herself an upper level extension that could house another bedroom and a nursery. Add in a fresh coat of paint, and suddenly you have a house that isn't even close to being ugly anymore. And no one can accuse this house of being a square. Get it? It's an insult from the... Never mind, we'll move on. 4. The Bathroom Bar. How about we do another bathroom remodel? Because for one group of Brits, they decided to use an old Victorian-era bathroom to become something they could honestly use. A bar. You see, they found an underground bathroom that they've been run down and derelict for years. So they bought it and started to transform it. The funny thing was that architecturally, it was already a well-known place because of its dome ceiling and glass roof. So they kept that and just worked on the interior. They kept a lot of the visual aesthetic of the place, including the white tiling that was all around. They just removed all the urinals and such and then went to town on making it more like a bar than you've come to enjoy. Fast forward to 2020 and the WC Wine Bar was opened and the place looks amazing from top to bottom, showing that sometimes what's right in front of you can be a gateway to something much greater. 3. 70s style up. While the 70s absolutely did a lot of things right, not the least of which was disco, not everything was a home run. The Garfield residence that can be found in California is an example of that. Between its color and its shape, it's just not that good looking. A true waste of 15,000 square feet of land. Thankfully for the house, and those that had to look at it, First Studios came in and decided to go and make things a lot better. They did an entire remodel that made the house not only stand out, but truly open up, including completely remaking the front area of the house to add more living and viewing space. Moving to the inside, they went and did all sorts of rearrangements and took down walls to open up the place to give it a more open feel. The results speak for themselves, and while it was a big transformation, it was a worthwhile one. 2. The bus house. Believe it or not, the act of renovating a bus is not as far-fetched as you might think. People have done it to make party buses in the past, as well as extensions of their home. But how about taking a bus and turning it into an actual home? What they did was they took the school bus, stripped it down to its chassis, in terms of that body that is, and then outfitted the bus with wood paneling, drawers, and more. They even added windows to make sure the bus could let in the natural light. And this isn't a one-person place. It's one that can fit a family and allow them to cook, have a warm fire, and more. But wait, we're not done. What if you need to get around for some reason? Well, the bus still drives, so thus it's one of the most unique mobile homes you'll ever gonna see. 1. The Holiest Bookshop. This 13th century church in the Netherlands had a problem. It was in disrepair and hadn't been used in a very long time outside of being a warehouse. Not exactly holy ground anymore. But then, architects Merck X and Girod decided to transform the space into something more useful. They transformed the church into a multi-story bookshop, as well as a cafe. They added in some structures to add new depths and allow more books to be on display, and people have been more than happy to come into ever since its transformation. So what do you think? What do you think of these places that took something that was either out of use or in disrepair and turned it into something usable and downright special? Which of these places do you personally feel made the most of their transformation? Do you think that some of them could inspire other places to try and do the same? Or do you know places near you that could absolutely use a transformation? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.